Hello everyone, this is Leo. Welcome back to StoryNews English, where world events meet English learning. Today's episode has a powerful title. India's Modi to meet Xi in Beijing. Should America be worried after Trump's tariff strike? Think about it. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi is preparing for a rare visit to China. At the same time, Donald Trump, back in the White House, has already announced tough tariffs on Chinese goods. So what does this mean for India, for China, and for the United States? Stay with me because this story is not only about politics and economics, it is also about learning English in a fun and meaningful way. Let's take a step back in history. India and China share a border of more than 3,000 kilometers, but they are not always friendly neighbors. In 1962, the two countries fought a border war in the Himalayas. India lost territory and trust was broken for decades. Then, in 2020, there was another deadly clash in the Galwan Valley. Soldiers fought not with guns, but with sticks and stones. The result? 20 Indian soldiers and at least 4 Chinese soldiers lost their lives. That tragedy shocked the nation. Afterward, India banned more than 200 Chinese apps, including TikTok. For many Indians, China became the enemy next door. And yet, despite the hostility, trade continued. In 2023, India imported more than $100 billion worth of goods from China. Smartphones, solar panels, electronics, China is everywhere in India's market. Now fast forward to 2025. Donald Trump returns to the White House and announces new tariffs. 25% on Chinese electronics, 20% on steel, and 20% on solar panels. These tariffs hurt China's economy. And right in the middle of this storm, Modi announces a trip to Beijing. A rare trip, a symbolic trip. A trip that makes Washington nervous and Beijing very, very happy. Let's pause here to learn some useful English words. Tariff, a tax on imported goods. Example, Trump placed a 25% tariff on Chinese electronics. And here are some important numbers to remember. India's population, 1.4 billion. China's population, 1.4 billion. Together, almost 3 billion people. That's 1/3 of all humanity. India's GDP growth in 2024, about 6.5%. US-India defense trade, $25 billion. So what does this tell us? India and China are rivals, but deeply connected through trade. The US counts on India, but India wants independence and flexibility. Now it's time for a quiz. Here's the question. Trump recently announced tariffs on Chinese electronics. What was the percentage? A, 10%. B, 20%. C, 25%. D, 30%. Take a moment to think. The correct answer is C, 25%. Did you get it right? Let's look at the consequences of Modi's trip. Civil. For people living near the border, peace is the biggest hope. Soldiers spend winters in freezing Himalayan mountains. Families of those killed in 2020 still carry pain. Even a handshake between Modi and Xi could give them hope. Economic. Economically, the stakes are enormous. India could benefit from cheaper Chinese imports. For China, trade with China could reduce the pain of Trump's tariffs. But there is risk. Indian manufacturers fear that too many Chinese products could destroy local industries and jobs. Politically, this trip is a big deal. India is part of the Quad with the US, Japan, and Australia, an alliance designed to balance China's power. If India appears too close to Beijing, trust inside the Quad may weaken. But here's the other side. Modi's global image grows stronger. He looks like a leader who can talk to both Washington and Beijing. And in today's world, that kind of independence is real power. Now, let's take a look at global perspectives. The United States. Washington is worried. The US has invested heavily in India as a counterweight to China. If India leans towards Beijing, US strategy could weaken. China. Beijing is excited. For Xi Jinping, a handshake with Modi is priceless propaganda. It shows that China is not isolated. Europe. The European Union is cautious. The EU trades with both India and China, so it must balance carefully. Global South. Many countries in Africa, Latin America, and Southeast Asia feel inspired. They admire India's independence, balancing between East and West instead of choosing sides. And now a question for you. If you were a leader of a small country, what would you do? A. Choose one big power. B. Stay neutral. C. Balance between many like India. Think about your answer. So, should America be worried? The answer is yes, but not too much. Yes, because India is showing independence. But no, because the US-India partnership is still strong. For India, the trip is about pride and leverage. For China, it is about survival and symbolism. For America, it is a reminder. Partnerships require respect. And for you, my listener, this story is not just about politics. It is also a way to learn English, to practice shadowing, and to understand the forces shaping our world. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.